Hello everyone. This is my birthday present. It will potentially take the place of George, my Bernina, which I know that's kind of an odd swap price-wise and mechanically. However, this is what I wanted for my birthday. So I will be finishing the Edwardian Under Things pattern number 203 using this machine if all goes well. So I thought you might want to come along with me while I unbox and we will check it out. So first things first, I have to flip it up like that and take an older pair of scissors and open it. So one thing I can tell you while I'm doing this, I have been asked, I don't know how many times, by other members of my family, have you opened it yet? Have you opened it yet? So they will be happy to see this. What do we get free? Oh, a beginner's machine class. I believe that's online. Alright, we have our booklet. Alrighty. Okay, and I'm going to remove the styrofoam off camera because I know a lot of people don't like that noise. I don't like that noise, but since I'm doing it, I kind of have to. Okay, there it is. Ta-da! All of this came out of the box before the sewing machine did, but here's just a little cloth cover to keep the dust off. There's a walking foot, power cord, and foot pedal. Okay, so the foot pedal has this type of outlet plug-in thing. Okay. And I'll take a quick picture for you. The power cord has the very first thing I've noticed is that the sewing machine itself, while it is lighter than the Bernina, like Lighther, it is wider than the Bernina. So that's very interesting. I believe that this over here, the bobbin, while the Bernina is automatic, like you move this post over this way, when it's full it moves back by itself. But this machine, I believe, stops when the bobbin is full and then you move it over. So if I recall from watching the video. Okay, so we're going to turn it on. It has a... Oh, it would help if I actually plugged it in. So we're going to turn it on. Wow. There is a piece of tape on the front of the machine, which I think was to keep the foot from moving around. And I have no idea how to lift the presser foot. Oh. No. Yes. No. Well, I'm going to have to read. There we go. Okay, there is a slot, which I will show you. This is the front of the machine, and this is the presser foot lever right here. So it's on the inside instead of on the back, which is where the Bernina's is located. I am going to open this little bag right here. Alright, so this goes on your thread post right there. There is a seam ripper, and just to, once again, today I was watching a video and the person that was doing the video said that every single seam ripper that is ever sold has a red bead on this little short piece right here, and here's one that does not. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3 bobbins. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. There's one on the machine. So we have 7 feet. This looks like something that goes on one of the feet. We'll have to look up what that is. Oh, I actually forgot this foot. Buttonhole. I think they can sew on buttons. Definitely for buttonholes, or this could be sewing on buttons. This is a seam guide. This is a tool of some kind. I don't know what this is. A pack of needles. This little piece of equipment here is for small spools of thread. This one is for larger spools of thread. This felt. I have another foot. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I'm back. Day 2 of the unboxing. I think I gave you some misinformation yesterday about some of this stuff on the front of the machine. The other thing I said was that the little curly Q button that I will show you a picture of is not the stitch without the foot pedal. That does something else. The button that you push to stitch without the foot pedal is actually in this area, and again, we'll have a picture of that. There we go. All right. So what this machine also has is a hold feature. And I need to go backwards and kind of start over on the explanation of all of that. So when you're looking at the sewing machine, you will see on the screen right here, let me do a video of this. I had to re-record this video on my phone because I did not record it while I was doing it on this camera. So I'm just going to insert this into the video that I am currently editing. Okay, so this is the default mode right here, and it has a box around it. It tells you when you turn your machine on, if you don't change anything, you'll be stitching with 2.5 millimeter length stitches. It is in needle up unless I come down here and I hit this button, not this button. This is a one-time button till you change it button. So if I change it there, it changes to down. I'm also stitching in mode 1. And mode 1 is basically all the stitches that you can see on this area right here. These stitches down here are labeled mode 2. This is still mode 2. And mode 3 are the numbers and the ABCs and all of that. And clearly some of these stitches, which I have not used very many of these at all. Okay, now let's say that I'm going to stitch in mode 2. I need to push my mode button, the M. I will push it and it changes to mode 2. Now I'm going to select a stitch. We'll go with, we'll pick a pretty one. And we'll go with the little spool of thread. So the number is 128. So I'm in mode 2 and I'm going to push 128 and up pops the little spool of thread. When I stitch the little spool of thread, I get this right here. And the little thread that's coming off is coming off to the left. But if I push this button right here, it's a mirror image button, and the little thread is now coming off on the right side, which I think is just fabulous. Now, I do not know what all of these buttons do. There's plenty more for me to learn, but I do know that if I change my stitch length, the box goes away. When it goes back to the width and length that has been set up for this machine, the box will reappear. So I think that's a very handy feature. You can look at that and say, oh, I'm in the correct stitch length and stitch width for this particular stitch. Okay, the other thing I wanted to talk about that I do know is this speed button. Many machines already have that. The Bernina had it. You can change it as you are stitching. So you can start out slow and increase your speed. I did put the little felt over here, which is where it belongs. This is the lock stitch. So as you're stitching, you come to the end of the line, let's say, whatever, even if you're doing a decorative stitch, you're stitching and you're getting close to the end. If you push that button, it will do 3 stitches that lock the stitching, which I think is also very nice. Of course, the reverse button is right here. And as far as I know, that's pretty much everything that I personally now know. I don't know what all of these buttons do, but I will be finding out as we go. So once I get the machine threaded and everything in place, we will see what those, basically what they all do together with a threaded sewing machine. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to thread the bobbin. You have to have a bobbin to sew. Therefore, I'm going to try to thread this bobbin, and then I'll thread up here on the top of the machine. So if you are unfamiliar with Gutermann thread, the thread end, when you first get one, will be down inside of this little ridge right here, so you can just pull that until it becomes free. All right. And we are supposed to use the end that is larger for the thread here, and I guess I better get the bobbin out, huh? So this button right here, there we go, releases this cover, and I believe it completely comes off. Yeah. So you're not fighting with that being there. And then there's another bobbin to the back so that it gets hooked under there. And then you go around this little hook right here, and then you wrap it around that post right there. And then I would just put your finger here and pull so that the thread goes underneath. Make sure it's moving freely, which it is. And then you bring it over to your bobbin, and there is a hole. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe you can. Yeah, you can. Right there. And you, from the inside of the bobbin, you bring this thread up, put it onto your bobbin post over here. I'll do that again so you can see. So you have your bobbin, and then you snap it down like that, and then you push this toward this, like that. And then I usually hold my thread up here. I don't want it to get mixed up with the thread that's being wound onto the bobbin. Now I have my machine in the slowest, if you can see right here, over here, in the slowest stitch mode. So I'm going to slide it over to the faster. It's got 3 arrows. Okay, it stopped. It's interesting because I don't want to push on the foot pedal again, but it felt like the machine was still making noise even though the bobbin had stopped spinning. So that may be a thing it does. I don't know. Then you cut your thread. You push your bobbin over and then remove it. Now, when you load it into the sewing machine down here, you want your bobbin to look like a little, like this is, it's forming a little strange shaped P. So your bobbin, and then your thread is coming off the left hand side, like so. Right, now I'm going to use this camera. I don't know how good it will be, but we'll try. All right, you drop it down. Oh. So make sure that the thread is coming off the left-hand side and set it down into that little area down there. And then you're going to, I'm trying to look at my phone and the sewing machine. Okay, so then you hook it under this little thing right here and pull toward this over here. just unthread all of this because we're going to thread the machine again. Same little loopy thing here, and then back through that and through this slot, and then under this little bit right here, came down, and then it's going to go underneath and then back up and around and inside that little hook right there, and then down here. Okay, the only fabric I could find that would be suitable for what I want to do are these two squares of this really dark blue plaid. And drop my foot down. And then I need to pop in number 128 in quick succession, quote unquote. If I want mode 2, which is what this card right here is, then I push this red button, mode 2, and then 128. I've got a spool of thread and a little tail there. Now if I want the tail to be on the other side, I can hit this button, which is mirror image. So that will switch the tail around. Alright, we're going to begin to stitch. And I think everything is where it should be. I hope so. Here we go. And as you can see, I've got a spool of thread and a little tail there. Now, if I want the tail to be on the other side, I can hit this button, which is mirror image. So that will switch the tail around. All right, we're going to begin to stitch. And I think everything is where it should be. I hope so. Here we go. I'm going to push this button. And it did 3 stitches and it stopped because I told it to. That's the thing. Now, if I want to do this spool of thread right here, with that lock stitch at the end, I'm going to start sewing again. Okay, so you saw those 3 little stitches there at the end. So there we have the thread coming off the right hand side, and there we have the thread coming off the left hand side. That is, to me, a really cool feature of the machine. Hello everyone. So this is the review of the machine, and yesterday was Saturday, which is the day that Candace and Rob come to visit us every week for dinner, lunch, brunch, whatever. And I showed the machine to Candace and she went crazy and decided that she wanted to do a design in blue on the bottom of the flounce on the petticoat. So what she decided she wanted was that design right there, little hearts in blue. So she had fun doing some little embroidery stitches here. This one is especially cute, the little swirls, and then the hearts. That's the one she wants. She really liked the fans, but we decided we could put that on something. Maybe she could put it on the bag she's going to borrow this once I'm done with it. So, yeah, we had a great time. I'm still learning how to use this machine, but I will say it is quite intuitive. It definitely has some a learning curve, but once you kind of get into that groove, you're good to go. My husband and I were talking about George, my Bernina, and it's going to go to the shop to be repaired, I hope. If I didn't tell you before, it is depositing either grease or oil on the thread. It wasn't getting on the fabric, it was strictly on the thread, and I determined it was on the bobbin thread, which doesn't surprise me. I mean, where would the oil come from or the grease on the top part of the machine? And I don't want to take the bobbin hook out. It's so hard for me personally to reinstall it. So if there's something going on in that area, much better left to the professionals, and that's what I plan to do. So I'm going to try to pick back up on this machine, and we'll see. I've got a couple things I don't know about, like there's this right here. I don't really understand what this is. I see the number 2 and the number 3, and it doesn't move. I'm just not sure what that is. So I'm going to delve into that on my own, and then I will let you know in a video while I'm sewing something what it does. We'll just go from there. We explored a lot of the embroidery stitches. So basically the main takeaways on this sewing machine for me are the loading up the bobbin over here, inserting it into the machine down here, which hold on a minute. Well, I tried to adjust the lighting so that you could kind of see what I'm talking about, but I'm not able to do that very well. So I'm going to tip the machine back and zoom down so we can talk about this area a little bit more clearer, I guess. I think if I tip it back, can you see this? There's a switch. That's what raises and lowers the foot. So it's on the inside of the arm, which is different from the Bernina. Okay, and then here we go. This is the bobbin area, and this is what you pull back. You don't push, you pull it this direction, and that of course pops up. And then you can remove this when you're reinserting your bobbin thread. Not real sure what all the feet do. This is the all-purpose foot right here. I've got that on my machine. Everything is set good to go. I'm not 100% sure about how to automatically thread my needle. It just took me a little bit longer than I wanted it to take. And I'm so used to threading my own needle. So that's a feature that I will either get used to using or I won't get used to using. Now I'm going to tell you the number one, I'm serious, the number one convenience that I have on this machine that I adore is the fact that it cuts its own thread. That is just so, it keeps the bobbin thread in the bobbin case area, in the hook area. It's just fantastic. So I don't know if I will always love it. Okay, so as you can see, we were using blue thread yesterday because this is the thread that she decided she wants on the bottom part of the petticoat flounce. And I threaded it on this spool and I unthreaded this thread. So I'm going to remove the blue thread to preserve it because I don't need to waste it. until I need it. She wants white thread in the bobbin and blue thread in the needle. And I'm going to rethread this one. And it's threaded. So what I'm going to do is end this video here. Okay, so thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.